Welcome everyone to another edition of our StaySmart newsletter and podcast, brought to you by Vicinity Corporate Housing. We try to keep you updated on what we see happening in the industry, whether that's corporate housing or relocation or business travel, anything that we think will be helpful, we try to include in our newsletter. So what do we see happening right now? Well, right now we see a lot of hot weather. It's a little warm here today in Kansas, but I think I can make do. So some interesting information. First, kind of just real estate industry news. National Association of Realtors, NAR, they put out some information today about the changes that are coming. Obviously, there was a settlement with the Justice Department. They released some information about that. Real estate's really interesting right now. Obviously, we've seen kind of a slowdown in the industry. Not a lot of inventory moving in general. A lot of that high interest rates. But it'll be interesting to see how the kind of like second half of the year works out, because with hopefully interest rate cuts in September, kind of looks what we're going to see. So interest rates coming down and the changes here to the NAR settlement. Be interesting to see kind of what it looks like the real estate industry in the second half of the year. And then business travel, we have several articles here that are really interesting. Two of them about the airline industries. The big ones, Southwest, they announced their seating policy change. So they've, for their whole history, they've had an open seating policy. So if anybody that's flown Southwest, you know, A, sit anywhere you want, B, sit in the back, C, sit in the center seat. Kidding aside, it is interesting to see their new shift to a charging for premium seating. They say in their article that it's because this is what customers want, that customers are asking for assigned seating. I don't necessarily know if I see it that way. I fly Southwest probably 80% of the time out of Kansas City here. And as long as it keeps the prices down, I don't care how they seat me. Open seating or assigned seating, I've always flown Southwest because they have a lot of available flights here out of Kansas City, but they're also one of the more affordable airlines out there. So kind of interesting to see this change. It's not going to happen until next year. They're also introducing some red-eye flights. Really interesting. You know, my take on it is I'm okay with assigned seating. I fly other airlines and I'm fine with it that way. As long as they keep price in line, I can still be assigned a seat. You know, that's not a premium seat, but still keep pricing where I think is competitive with other airlines. And then kind of on the flip side of that, there's an article about Spirit Airlines. They've, for the longest time, had a very bare bones approach to obviously they're a budget airline, so they want to keep prices as low as possible. That's been their model. They've struggled a lot. Their merger with JetBlue fell through earlier this year, so they've had a lot of financial struggles. So they're trying a new seating model also, going to a more traditional model. Interesting to see Spirit Airlines and how that works out for them. I'm not too positive on that approach with Spirit Airlines, if that's going to work out. And then GBTA, the largest business travel association, they had their conference a couple weeks ago in Atlanta. We'll have more information about this. Our own Mark Champagne was there. He's going to give a little bit more recap about the GBTA conference. Really interesting information. I think the biggest thing that we're seeing out of there is they're estimating this year about $1.2 or $1.5 trillion in business travel in 2024. That's what GBTA is estimating for this year. And then by 2028, up to $2 trillion in business travel. So business travel is still doing really well, according to GBTA. Seems like it was a really good conference. And then a couple last articles. We have one kind of in the short-term rental space. Plano, a suburb in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, last week implemented some new short-term rental bans, laws, regulations, whatever you want to say. It's just interesting to see more and more regulations. I think it's okay as long as they're clearly defined and they're not complicated and they're not reducing competition. So interesting to see. Plano's short-term rental regulations just went in place last week. And then a couple of articles about in the corporate housing industry. The first one, Synergy announced their Ascott's Star Reward Loyalty Program. So they're going to be offering these reward programs that Ascott purchased or acquired 80% of Synergy back in 2017. So they're now rolling that into the Synergy. Synergy is a global service department corporate housing company. They're able to use these Ascott reward points now. So interesting in that we've seen a couple corporate housing service apartment companies in the last month or so announce reward programs or partnerships with kind of bigger players to entice business travelers, recurring business travelers. So, and then AltoVita announced a new hire in the Middle East. They're really pushing kind of that APAC region. So interesting information from AltoVita. So that's the information that I have this week. That's what I see transitioning in the industry right now. If there's anything that you want to hear about, let us know. If you haven't subscribed yet to our newsletter or a podcast, go ahead and do that. But that's what I see transitioning this week. Take care, everyone.